What's up, everybody? It's Roger and James here for DisKingdom with our thoughts of Guardians of the Galaxy. And let's just be honest, let's just get the spoiler warning straight out of the way. We're probably going to ruin stuff if you haven't already seen the movie. Since it's been out for nearly 2 weeks here in the UK, so it's been out a couple of weeks. So first off, impressions, James. What did you think of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. Maybe not quite as much as the first one, but the first one is still one of my favorite Marvel movies, so that's a pretty high bar. Definitely a lot of fun. If you like the first one, you'll like the second one.
Yeah, so. To me, it was just carried on straight off the bat. You had the humor, you had the laugh. There was lots of little one-liners. Drax and Rocket, and they were becoming really kind of cool little characters. Baby Groot wasn't as annoying as I was expecting him to be. They kind of held him back a little bit. They didn't. As much as he was tons of stuff in the marketing, he wasn't really in the movie a lot, was he?
No, and that was for the best, I think. Because he did absolutely have the potential to be a really annoying character if they had really pulled him out. But, I kind of wish they hadn't spoiled probably his funniest moments in the trailers. Yeah. But still, they did a good job with him and did not overwhelm us with Groot, which could have become their version of like the minions from Jar Jar or the minions from Despicable Me, where you're just like, okay, they were cute, but please just background.
Yeah. I think they did a good thing as well in some ways of splitting the team up in the movie, so it kind of gave two different things of what was going on. It allowed them a little bit more flexibility of Rocket and Groot and Nebula kind of doing their thing with all the Ravengers. Kind of allowed them a little bit of space to breathe and develop, because I think like Rocket got quite a bit of development and stuff himself, and that seemed to work very well. I thought and even in some ways giving Nebula her own bit of space.
Yeah, they did a good job of giving each character their own little bit. Even the secondary characters like Nebula and Yondu. Yondu and Rocket was actually a pretty good pairing. Worked out pretty well. And then we also had like the other characters who popped in for just a couple seconds there, like Sylvester Stallone's character and whatnot. Yeah.
So the instant thing is, obviously we had the what we would call the original Guardians of the Galaxy, which was essentially called me Googling to see what is this, what does the end credit mean, because it's like but it was almost that kind of thing of like, well, he's not really been used a lot, and then it's like looking at the team they put together, going, really, you're gonna waste like some of these actors on on some really small little scenes and going, they are coming in. These are being brought in for another team movie. That was the way I looked at it.
Yeah, I mean, the way I was kind of picturing it, now we're definitely going into spoiler territory though, is that the Ravagers are kind of going to be the cannon fodder of the Avengers Infinity War. and then maybe we'll see the this original Guardians of the Galaxy team or these Ravagers kind of show up as the like a major story in Guardians 3. But yeah, when I first saw it, they're like, you got Ving Rhames and you've got Michelle Yeoh, and I'm like, really? You're going to use them on these bit parts?
Yeah, I was like, hold up a minute. Michelle Yeoh was the first one going, she's a big actress. Then you had the big guy from Armageddon, I believe, like was it the guy from Smallville was playing a part in as Iceman or something. I don't know what he was.
Right.
Martinique. You had apparently Miley Cyrus playing one of the spacemen from Doctor Who. There was this kind of
that's one way of thinking of it.
Yeah. The first minute I saw the image of the head, it just looked like a spaceman, a Cyberman. It felt like they've set this up as, like you say, maybe cannon fodder for Thanos. Or alternatively, maybe because they have said about Guardians of the Galaxy, the Volume 3 will be the last of this lineup, so they can maybe move some of the characters around a little bit, depending on actors and stuff. But I thought, slow introduction to Adam Warlock as well. That's kind of cool. I mean, I thought generally the people in yellow, they kind of came across very, very, video game kind of territory, didn't really want to get their hands dirty, and
yes.
But they also had that competitive spirit with each other, which I thought was an interesting take on it.
It was definitely fun when you first see them in their like arcade where
Yeah,
they're all in like afterburner modules.
yeah.
Obviously, they're not, the actual afterburner, but it's like, yeah, it's kind of absurd, but I like it. And it actually, it's really funny because it takes this retro idea of arcades and joystick shooters and stuff and sticks it in a very modern sci-fi telling, and it works really well.
And there's even just started like them like rolling out the red carpet and getting stuck.
That was great.
And it
Yeah.
was just that kind of thing of less like obviously that's humor as well, but it's also that thing of they're trying to, so desperate to be advanced, but it doesn't work.
Right.
She's obviously she fancies Peter Quill and all the rest of it. This is kind of thing of them wanting to be more advanced, and she's actually sort of coming across a bit of a jilted kind of that thing of well, I liked you and I hired you and you did this to me and you stole the things that they kind of needed at the end. But I thought, generally, that the humor, the music was just a continuation, really, of it.
Right.
I just thought I just laughed so much through the movie, and it was just fun. And it was
It
just a
was.
thing of it was just a fun movie. And then there's been like reviews and stuff are going, well, it wasn't quite as good as the last one, and it's just more of the same. It's like that's what I want. Why? It's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's like
I
it's a
mean, more of
talking
the same
tree.
is what I wanted. Uh, for the most part, it was a lot of fun. Mantis and Drax's
Yeah,
interactions were amazing. Again, another one of those things where I wish they hadn't spoiled the initial interaction of like, oh, I can feel emotions, and
yeah,
just Drax going nuts, which was
yeah.
fantastic. But then but then their relationship just getting even worse, and him ending there like, I think you're beautiful. And
On
it's
the
like
inside.
on the inside, he's like, oh, you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Interactions again. I already mentioned Rocket and Yondu. That was a great one. Gamora and Nebula, good relationship there, and of course Peter and his dad was a very interesting one. The thing to switch over to more negative viewpoint was I think there were far too many of these moments in the movie where you've got one character explaining their own important like internal thought process. You got
Yeah.
Nebula going like, I just wanted a sister's like, okay. And by itself, that would have been a great scene. But then you've got Yondu talking to Rocket and being like, I know who you are because I am you. And like, okay, fairly dramatic. And they just keep doing these scenes over and like, you're doing it a little too much right now.
They definitely I think there was that thing of adding more, obviously like with what happened with Yondu doing his Han Solo moment. It, that worked. I think that worked very well because I hadn't known that was coming. So that was good way in some ways of seeing what was going on with that one and him making that sacrifice. I mean,
Right.
obviously from Peter Quill's version, he lost two dads in that one in like within the space of a couple of minutes. But I think like the whole thing with like Ergo, it was such a weird thing of this idea of having a living planet and the brain just floating through space, and it was like, okay, and this whole thing of the way they used like the pod to show off, like give like a montage but do it slightly different. I think that worked quite well.
Yeah, Ego is a very interesting character. And again, this is the movie really kind of following through with the original version of the character. He's always been a living planet. Actually giving him a human form was a change for the movie. But yeah, the pods were definitely interesting. I like the way they did it. I like the artistic style they used for it, the very glossy, not quite marble, not quite glass look that they had, which was really cool. And the way they kept transitioning, and you get more and more details about it.
And I think the way they kind of showed off as well, like how he'd been to different planets, and obviously they found all the skulls and stuff. But they kind of showed, him basically just trying to find something else. And I mean, I think the whole moment where he kind of, obviously Peter's kind of being lowered in, and the minute he says about his mum killing his mum and stuff, I love the fact he just literally just shot him.
He's just
out,
like,
just like, you killed my mum, and there was like no quips, no thought. He said it, and he just shot him, and it broke him out of it, and he instantly just went to shoot mode. And it was that, obviously Ergo wasn't going to die from it, but it was that thing of there was no holding back, no kind of, is this right or wrong? It was, no, I'm just going to kill you. That was enough. And I like that. There was, so much superheroes always like, you've killed everyone I know, but I'm still good and I can't hurt you. Kind of. No, he will just blast you out.
I will not descend to your level or whatever their normal rigor thing is, and he's just like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna blow you away. I am so upset about what you did to my mom that I'm just gonna destroy you. And then it led to one of my favorite moments in the movie, which is of course the guest appearance by Knight Rider. So
that was that cinema just. I mean, we were only about half full because it's just an afternoon. But I mean, I think everyone just laughed. And there's this kind of weird thing of like going, because I was trying to explain to my parents the other day, and it's like, on one hand, it takes you out of the moment. But on the other hand, it'd been already explained that why it means a lot. And basically, Ergo at that point trying to do anything to convince him that he's his dad and please don't kill me. And just, I need you to carry on. And even that thing where he turns into a Pac-Man,
that was great.
Like that, little things of like, little nods to what he said and his thought, and I thought that worked very well.
That is one of the things that I think a lot of actually directors need to look at the Guardians. Both of them are the way those little one-off statements turn into bigger jokes later on in the movie, because he makes the Pac-Man statement fairly early on, like I'm going to make the 800-foot Pac-Man statue, and you think that's the end of the joke.
Yeah,
and by itself you're like, that was funny, and then they come back to it and he turns into the giant Pac-Man. You're like, I got it.
Yeah, but it's just something as well of like in his head that is like a thing that can destroy us. But I think the whole thing of trying to blow the planet up and saving everything, in some ways I would love to have seen that little end credit. I mean, we had enough of them, but that thing of like Ergo's maybe not dead, that would have been kind of
or that there was a baby ego floating around.
Yeah,
maybe.
But also that thing as well of like that weird, because then sort of sitting there going, well, if Peter Quill is like half a living planet, he's kind of got some special powers here. Obviously, they basically reset him, because was he always Ergo's son in the comic books, or
no?
Brand new in the movie?
This is brand new. In the comic books, he's the son of Jason, which is Jason, but the A is replaced with an apostrophe because aliens or something. Jason of Spartax, who's the king of Spartax, and he's essentially a regular human, just from an alien species who are far more advanced than we are.
I mean, I thought the idea of how they did it was good. I think just in general, a very fun movie, lots of excitement, lots of just fun stuff. And that was my initial thought. I just came out and enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I had a laugh. I enjoyed all the action. It was filling the space. It didn't really kind of set up anything more for Avengers War of them. Maybe the whole thing of now that Peter Quill can come to Earth, because now he's at ease with it. And obviously Nebula ran off to find him to go and kill him. So whether or not she's the bearer of kind of to tell the Guardians what's going on and they have to come to Earth, that kind of thing. I just still think like the Guardians just literally just show up at the last minute in the Milano and that's set up.
Yeah, because more than likely the Avengers Infinity War isn't going to actually end the conflict. It's probably, even though they're no longer calling it Part 1, Part 2, it's probably going to be the halfway point. And we think that the name of the second Avengers movie has been leaked by accident. I think actually by might have been Zoe Saldana. They're calling it the Gauntlet. At least that's what the rumor is, which would be the Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah. So halfway through. I suspect that Nebula might have a very small role in the Infinity War, and I suspect it'll be more like an introduction to Thanos, where we're going to, maybe even in one of the first scenes of the movie, it's like she's trying to assassinate Thanos.
Yeah.
And then just Thanos is just beating the snot out of her, and that's our introduction to Thanos, is like, well, you just beat up this awesome blue ninja girl. So
I was expecting a little bit more setup, but because I'm thinking, well, we've got Spider-Man, that's not going to do anything with Thanos. We're going to have
Thor Ragnarok.
With Thor Ragnarok, I mean, it just makes sense to kind of use the space to kind of explore this, because obviously from the humans on Earth, they've got no idea what's going on.
Right. Other than, getting attacked by the Chitauri in the original Avengers movie, they don't really know what's going on. So
and they're still split up from Civil War, so it's so it's a bit of an odd one. But generally, this as a whole, really enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Tons of stuff in there to laugh at. Can't wait to pick it up again when it comes out on Blu-ray. I know you went to see it a couple of. I don't. I
saw it twice.
Yeah, I don't do movies at the cinema multiple times because it's too expensive.
Well, for me, it's a double thing. First, I went and saw it on the Thursday night premiere because they do the midnight launches, and midnight is now apparently 7 p.m. But I also went with my coworkers as a team building exercise on the Friday, which was not paid for by the company, but it was a good, morale builder with the friends. If I hadn't already seen it twice, I'd probably see it another time on a Tuesday, because we can do the $6 movie Tuesdays here, which it's like $6 for a theater experience. Sure. Honestly, it's going to be very difficult for Spider-Man or Thor Ragnarok or Wonder Woman to top this movie. I think this might very well be my superhero movie of 2017. So
yeah, kind of almost, to me, I had that like Deadpool feeling. It was just a fun superhero romp, and that's all, and that's what I want. I didn't, you don't always want the overarching moody heroes, and I think that's what seemed to work the best for that one.
Yeah, and we'll just have to wait and see, what Homecoming has in store for us. Thor Ragnarok looks like it's going to be great. I don't think it's going to be as great as Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but it looks pretty good. Wonder Woman, DC's burned way too much credit. The trailers make it look good, but their credit is really thin right now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Wonder Woman, Spider-Man Homecoming. Again, I think that's going to be a lot more grounded, a lot more humor, and I think that's going to work very well. So just in general, like I said, I'd love to know your thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. You can get in touch with us on all the different platforms. You can find us over on... you can find us on different platforms such as YouTube, VidMe. You can find us on audio platforms, etc. So you definitely want to check out DisKingdom.com for that. James, where can they find you over at?
You can find me at heroiclegacy.com.
Okay, and on that note, guys, thank you very much for watching. See you guys soon. Later.